Welcome back to the Underground Lab. Today I have an amazing update on my progress. Stay tuned. Okay, let's get into it. So, I have finally completed phase 1 of my journey. My number one goal, and only goal really, for phase 1 was extreme weight loss, and I wanted to do it rapidly. So, my goal was to go from 226 to 200 pounds. I've actually beaten that, and I'm 198 pounds. Works for me. So, as most of you know, I've been using retatrutide, and it works great. I have had zero negative side effects, no nausea, no constipation, none of the normal side effects that most people report. So I've been on an extreme calorie deficit intentionally. I'm not worried about some muscle loss. Obviously, you can't lose that much weight that quickly without muscle loss. But in my next two phases, I'll be gaining a lot of muscle. So it wasn't really a big issue for me, losing some muscle. So it took 35 days to go from 226 down to 198, which is incredibly fast. I wouldn't recommend that for the average person because, again, you're going to lose muscle. But this is my experiment, this is my journey, and it's the way I chose to do it. I know for me personally, if weight loss is too slow, then I have a tendency to quit and lose interest. But this phase has gone flawless. Everything I ate during this phase, every calorie I consumed had a purpose. Most of it was very high protein foods. I ate a lot of eggs. I had very, very low carbs and sugar. One, because carbs is going to make you retain water, and water is heavy. Two, because of my diabetes, the more insulin I take, the slower I'm going to burn fat. So obviously that's counterproductive. So in this video, I'm going to show you my before, and I'm going to show you my current pictures. So you can see the extreme change I've had. Now, I've noticed a lot of size reduction, all over. But for me, I have had an enormous amount of reduction in my gut. When you see the pictures, it's pretty amazing, in my opinion. The size of my stomach has decreased by a huge amount. And usually the stomach is the area, especially on men, that we lose last. For some reason, I lost it first. Not complaining. I don't know if it has something to do with my huge reduction in insulin that I've had to take. It was something to do with my diabetes. Maybe there was less fat there than what it looked like. It could have been a buildup of old food. Also have gastroparesis. There's so many things that could have contributed to the size. But either way, that amount of weight and that amount of size reduction, I'm very pleased with. So now that this phase is over, I've titrated up to 4 milligrams per week. I take it every Sunday, and that's pretty much where I'm going to stay. I have no plans on going higher. During the clinical trials, between 4 and 8 milligrams per week showed the most results. Going higher did produce results, but not at the same rate. You're spending a lot of extra money for very, very little extra benefit. And you're increasing the side effects by a lot. And that's not something I want to do. Obviously, with type 3C diabetes, which is caused by severe pancreatic damage, pancreatitis is something I have to worry about. So I want to keep it at 4 milligrams, and I don't want to go higher because I don't want to risk pancreatitis. For those of you who have had it, you know pancreatitis is extremely dangerous. It can kill you, and quick. But also, it is extremely painful. Just if it's severe, you have mind-numbing pain. And they have to put you on some pretty strong pain meds. Usually, they end up giving me Dilaudid just to make the pain bearable. So I want to minimize that risk as much as possible. Now, what are my plans going into phase 2? So phase 2, I want to drop down to 190 pounds, but I'm going to do it much, much slower. I'll also be on a very high dose testosterone. I'll be taking 180 to 200 grams of protein per day. I don't digest food because of my pancreas issues. So most of my protein will be from a very clean protein powder. It's easier for me to digest. If I were to eat 200 grams of protein from steak or any other meat, then majority of that would never be absorbed. It doesn't digest. I don't produce digestive enzymes. So 180 to 200 grams of protein, that's going to be where I want to stay. And then with a high dose of testosterone and going to the gym, I should see results in muscle building very rapidly. And also, by still keeping my calories to a minimum, no excess, the retatrutide should still be cutting down on the fat while the testosterone is allowing me to build muscle. So phase 2 is less about losing weight, and it's going to be more of a recomp instead. So fat loss while gaining muscle is difficult to do, but if you plan and execute it properly, then you can absolutely do it. I'm not going to be in a calorie surplus, because then you're getting to the point to where you could start building up more fat. I obviously do not want to do that. I do not want to have to cut again and then lose muscle that I have finally gained. Phase 3, which will be my final phase, I will go from 190 down to 180. Then that should really take care of any of the fat that I have remaining, at least to the point where I want to be. On top of the testosterone and the retatrutide, I'll also be adding in NPP. If you know, you know. That will increase my size gains enormously. Now, of course, I will start out at a low dosage just to see what type of side effects I'm going to have. Some people run it and they do amazing. Some people run it and they get DECA, and I would really, really like to avoid that. Some people get severe depression. Um, Not really interested in that either. But you don't really know until you try it. Keep in mind, I am absolutely not saying that anyone should try this. I'm doing my own personal experiments, you know, and I'm basing everything on how I feel, my labs, blood work, etc. All I'm doing is allowing you to watch my progress so you can see what type of effects I'm having. One thing I do want to talk about is, if you've been paying any attention to peptides recently, obviously someone has been caught and has distributed peptides containing that Fetty. It's bad stuff. So whoever you're getting your peptides from, make sure it is a very good source. Don't buy it from these clowns on, YouTube and TikTok who are trying to push it out there. You got 18-year-old kids buying crap from China. They're not getting it tested. They're using COAs that are provided by the Chinese people who are selling it in bulk. They're fake. They're not actually having it tested. And then what's worse is when they receive the product, they're not having it tested themselves. They're just believing the paperwork. More than likely, that's what happened, and that's why there was peptides contaminated with Fetty. So be careful. Me personally, I will not buy from any vendor that relies on COAs from China. Anyone that I deal with, not only do they have to have it independently tested by a lab here in America, but I'm not trusting the COA they show me. Because the thing is, AI is dead simple to use. I can create a COA and never have something tested, and you're going to believe it's real. So if I can't go to the actual legitimate lab's website, put in the information, and pull it up on their website and match what they're showing me to what my supplier is showing me, I'm not touching it. Um, they, I know it can be inconvenient if you get a vial and it's not quite right. Throw it out. I mean, what's $100? It's, or $200 or whatever you spent. What is that compared to accidentally ingesting a bad drug? Trust me, one trip to the emergency room is going to cost you a whole lot more than those peptides did. So I don't believe that peptides should be only sold by pharmacies and doctors. I don't believe in that. Peptides are not steroids. All the peptide is doing is telling your body what to do. It's a set of instructions, basically. It's not adding anything to you. It's making your body produce more of what it already produces. I do think that any supplier should have a license, not the same as a pharmacy, but something that links that product to that company, and that way they have to take responsibility. So if they sell a product that they did not have properly tested at a lab and someone gets sick from it, they should be held responsible. There should be some type of accountability. I don't think it should be an extremely difficult license or even an expensive one, but I do think there should be something there. Now, I want to show you my before picture of day one when I first started, and it's going to be right here. This is 226 pounds and is definitely not a pretty look. So if you look at the picture, you can see my gut is absolutely enormous. Big chest. If you look at my back in the next picture, there's no real definition. Just a big old fat back. Unfortunately, I let myself go, stopped going to the gym, stopped working out. Life gets hectic and busy, and I got lazy. And then now I will show you what I currently look like. So this is what I look like after losing 28 pounds. 26 was the goal, but 28 is where I landed. So you can see from the side, a huge gut's going. Still have that right here. I absolutely want to get rid of, but that'll come off in time. Now, you can see that it is an enormous reduction from what I had. I do think that this section of fat right here and right here might actually be caused by the large amount of insulin that I take. Because coincidentally, where I inject is here and here. So if you look at my back, I can't see when the back turns if it's a good picture or not. But there's definitely more definition. And that's it. That's my current size. I'm absolutely happy with where I'm at for the time being. I don't think I could ask for better results in a shorter amount of time. I do have a little bit of loose skin, obviously. Anytime you lose that much fat, there's going to be loose skin. Now let me put the shirt back on because I don't really care to sit there and stare at it all day long. At least not during this video. So that's my results for right now. And obviously I'll be doing more videos to update you. Now, I've had a few comments asking about why I was so pale in the first image and how I got this incredible tan. Well, the honest truth is I started using more seasoning in my food, and that's what happened. But no, seriously. I actually started doing some Melanotan 2, and Melanotan 2 works amazing. There's been a lot of studies into it for results other than just helping you tan. Guys, you'll definitely like this peptide. But that's how I got so tan so quick. In a month, I went from pale white to this. So anyways, I'm ending this video now. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, if you're curious about anything, feel free to drop a comment and just ask. And again, I'm not recommending any of this for anybody. Talk to your doctors and see what they have to say. Also, watch out for that fatty. That's something that you don't want to get involved with. I don't want to see you drooped over, looking like a zombie on the street. Be safe on your journeys. So one additional note, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. So far, I don't really have any subscribers. So I'd like to see if anyone out there is actually interested or willing to support the channel. I also would like to hear what type of content you would like to see. So drop it in the comment section, subscribe, keep watching, because phase 2 is definitely going to get wild. Phase 2 will have a lot more videos from the gym, and a lot of updates on my muscle growth within this phase. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Be safe.